High above Garnix Prime, the eternal concordance summit shone like a silver ring around the planet's equator. The orbital palace, 10 kilometers wide, welcomed delegates from 200 species. Yet every rumor followed one unexpected pair. Princess Zelia and Private Eli Grant of Earth. They formed a study in contrast. Zelia's crystalline cloak scattered light into violet fans. Eli's neat dress blues looked plain beside her brilliance. As Earth's ceremonial guard, he was meant to fade into the background, but Palace's whispers renamed him the Lone Terran Knight. Eli pretended not to hear. Princess Zelia, 19 standard years and proud, treated the summit as her personal theater. She drifted through corridors, nose high, antennae poised, noting flaws in architecture, etiquette, or wardrobe with casual flicks of her eyes. Attendants followed 2 steps behind, gathering her judgments like souvenirs. Eli noticed her before she noticed him. While guiding Earth's elderly ambassador, Madame Jo, across a glass bridge, he glimpsed oceans sparkling. Far below, when he looked up, the princess was ahead, teasing to ushers who had swapped left and right. Her laugh rang brightened, slightly cruel. "Remember, Private Madame Jo," whispered. "We are here to show patience, not pride." "Yes, ma'am," Eli replied and kept his focus forward. The reception hall resembled a living forest carved from quartz. Branch pillars reached into balconies packed with spectators. A floating orchestra of jelly spheres hummed gentle chords through the air. At the center waited a circular stage. Under a crown of holograms, the princess prepared to greet the latest arrivals. "Humankind, delegates of Earth," Zelia proclaimed. Voice amplified. "Welcome. Your voyage from the spiral backwater must have been tiring." Polite chuckles rippled among species that still doubted Earth's place at the table. Eli guided Madame Jo up the steps and stood a pace behind, her hands clasped, gaze steady. The princess's eyes slid toward his uniform, this armored figure. Does he speak, or merely stand? Before Madame Jo answered, Zelia circled Eli like a jeweler eyeing a curious gem. "So much rigid fabric," she mused, tapping a brass button. "Is your skin that fragile, Terran? Or do you fear we'll misread your peculiar shape?" Eli met her gaze and offered a calm smile. "The uniform honors my service and my world, Your Highness." "How quaint." "I wonder, soldier, what revelation hides beneath those stitches? Suppose you removed your costume. Would we behold something impressive, or only more Terran drabness?" "If I removed it," Eli said evenly, "you might learn something new." Didn't expect gasps fluttered around the balconies. The orchestra missed a note. For the first time, Zelia's confidence wavered. Then her lips curved into a challenge. "Is that so? Perhaps tomorrow we shall test your claim," she finished. The welcome with precise ceremonial phrases, but curiosity sparked hot behind her eyes. A reception followed on the starlight terraces. Gravity-tuned lily pads floated beside fountains of scented mist. Delegates bartered ideas over shimmering drinks that shifted color with a stir. Zelia circulated like a comet, leaving glittering conversation tales, yet her mind kept orbiting the quiet human. Why did his simple answer unsettle me? She wondered. Garnick's tutors had drilled her to dominate debate, but the Terran's unflinching calm felt like a mirror she had never faced. Across the terrace, Eli helped sweep crumbs from the ambassador's seat, folded napkins for shy junior envoys, and smiled at each species without preference. Observers called it quaint courtesy. Zelia felt it like sunlight reaching a room she thought perfectly lit. Madame Jo, sipping herbal tea, noted the princess's thoughtful frown. "Sometimes," she murmured to Eli, "the hardest walls crack with the smallest question." He nodded, though he doubted he had asked anything profound. Simplicity, he guessed, was powerful only when everyone else complicated things. Later, Eli wandered an observation deck, a silent ring of windows. Garnix Prime glowed turquoise beneath. Drifting clouds, trade vessels leaving white arcs across space. He slipped off his jacket, folded it, and set it beside him. Underneath, he wore a plain black t-shirt stamped with 3 words: "Respect is earned." Footsteps echoed. Princess Zelia appeared alone, her royal cloak traded for a simple silver shawl. In half-lit starlight, she looked more curious than cruel. "I hope to find you," she said. "Your Highness," Eli greeted, moving to retrieve his jacket. "Leave it," she requested. "I wish to see the Terran unadorned." "Regulations discourage off-duty attire in formal zones," he replied. "We are off-duty now," she insisted. "Consider it informal research." He folded his arms, slogan, "Visible." The princess studied the words, then his face. "You humans confuse me," she confessed. "Most species honor power or lineage. You honor effort. Effort, ingenuity, second chances," Eli agreed. "And you believe I could learn from this? Only if you want to?" "Tomorrow," she declared, "you will guide me through a Terran day. No servants, no translators, only your odd customs." Excitement brightened her voice. Eli inclined his head. "On one condition, you must try everything, even if it feels ridiculous." Her brows lifted. "Is that a challenge, soldier? It's an invitation?" Zelia extended a slender hand. Eli shook it gently, feeling the cool, glassy texture of her outer skin. Holographic stars reflected in the window, framing them like partners starting a dance. As she turned away, she read the slogan aloud, "Respect is earned. We shall see Private Grant." She offered a small, genuine smile before disappearing down the corridor. Behind her, the turquoise planet spun on, unaware that a simple handshake had nudged diplomacy onto a brand-new path. The next morning on Garnix Prime, the orbital palace buzzed with quiet excitement. Word had spread fast. The Terran soldier had answered the princess's mockery with something bold. People expected a scandal, a mistake, or at least some drama. What they got instead was something far more surprising. Private Eli Grant walked into the public lounge outside. The council hall not in his formal uniform, but in plain earth clothes, loose black pants and a gray T-shirt with big bold letters that read, "Respect is earned." Aliens from dozens of species stared. A floating squid ambassador paused mid-glide. Garnix guard whispered, "Is this ... rebellion?" One of the diplomats from the Scythera species adjusted her translator and blinked twice. "No," she said, "this is human culture." Princess Zelia entered a moment later, expecting the usual seriousness. Her eyes caught Eli's casual clothes and paused. He stood straight, calm, hands behind his back as if he wore the most proper uniform in the galaxy. "You actually did it," she said, stepping closer. "You removed your costume?" "I said you might learn something," Eli replied with a smile. The princess walked around him slowly, curious. No armor, number, decorations, no royal symbol, just words. She read the shirt aloud, testing the phrase. "Respect is earned. Tell me, soldier, who decides when it's earned?" "Everyone," Eli said. "It's not given by blood or rank, it's earned by action." "Even for a princess?" Eli's answer was quiet but strong, especially for a princess. There was a moment of silence, and then Princess Zelia laughed. Not a cruel laugh, not a mocking one, but something real. "Fine," she said. "Let's see what you humans do all day. Teach me, Earth soldier." Eli gave a short bow. "Today, Your Highness, you'll live a Terran day, no servants, no titles, just experience." Their first stop was the human habitat section of the station. Smaller than the Garnix wing, it was modest but filled with life. Potted plants lined the walkways. Music drifted from open doors, classical, jazz, even a little rock. The air smelled like real food toast, herbs, coffee. Zelia wrinkled her nose. "It's warm, cluttered, no automation." "We do have technology," Eli chuckled. "Some things we still like to do with our hands." He led her to the crew kitchen. A few human engineers were making breakfast. They smiled politely at Zelia, but didn't bow or tremble. One handed her a hot mug. "Try this," Eli said. "It's called tea, right?" Zelia sniffed it. "It smells like boiled leaves." "It's exactly what it is." She sipped and paused. "It's calming," she admitted. "Simple, honest." Eli grinned. "Like us." Next he handed her a small roll of gray cloth. What is this? She asked, puzzled. Duct tape. Zelia blinked. Is it ceremonial?
No.
Nope. It fixes everything. 2. Prove it. Eli found a loose panel on a wall. In front of the princess, he used the tape to hold it in place. You've repaired a palace wall with sticky cloth, she said in shock. Improvisation, he said. A very human skill. Zelia examined the tape, turning it over in her hands. Strange. ... Your tools are so ... Low. Start low, Eli said, but we keep climbing. Later, they visited the cultural room, where an old projector played a documentary about Earth's history struggles, science, art, and space. Zelia watched carefully. She saw the first human walking on the moon. She saw children building robots. In dusty schools, she saw farmers, painters, dancers, and scientists all working, failing, trying again. No perfect genes, no floating chairs. Yet you've reached the stars, she said softly. We had no choice, Eli replied. We had problems, so we learned to solve them, with less. The princess looked at him. We were taught your people were violent, that you survived through war. Some did, Eli admitted. But now we survive through cooperation, through second chances. Second chances, Zelia repeated. We rarely give those. Then you might be missing something beautiful, Eli said. In the afternoon, he played an Earth game, simple wooden blocks stacked high. The goal, remove pieces without letting the tower fall. Zelia was puzzled at first. This is ... childish.
Eli
Smiled. Every move has risk, but take your time, focus, and learn from the last player. As they played, she became quiet, serious. Her moves grew better. The tower climbed higher. Why do I enjoy this? She whispered. Because it's not about power, Eli said. It's about balance. The tower finally fell, and she laughed a bright, natural sound that made the engineers nearby look up and smile. At sunset, they sat in the garden dome. Stars began to appear through the clear ceiling. Zelia had removed her crystal hairpins and wore a simple braid, her eyes watching the stars. Today was different than I imagined, she said. Eli handed her a folded cloth. Here, a gift. One of our t-shirts. She unfolded it. This one read, Hope never stops. Zelia ran her fingers across the words. We don't have phrases like this on Garnix. Maybe it's time you did. She looked up at him, eyes thoughtful. Private Grant. Tomorrow, I want to visit your childhood memory room, the one with drawings from Earth children. Eli nodded. Gladly, she walked away, holding the shirt close. Someone whispered, In the shadows, the princess changed today. But Eli knew better. She didn't change. She opened. And sometimes, that's harder and braver than anything else. The next morning began quietly. The stars outside the station were fading, replaced by the soft glow of Garnix Prime, inside the human habitat. Something unusual was happening. Princess Zelia stood in front of a mirror, wearing something no one had ever seen on her before, Earth's sweatpants and a loose blue t-shirt. Her crystal crown and royal armor were gone. Her silver hair was tied in a simple braid. On her shirt were the words, Hope never stops. I look strange, she whispered to her reflection. You look honest, said her attendant softly. Then quickly looked down. Zelia took a deep breath and stepped out. People stared, of course. A royal princess dressed like a human engineer? It had never happened before. But Zelia walked forward with quiet pride. She was no longer pretending to be curious. She was curious. Eli met her near the learning dome. He smiled when he saw her clothes. Comfortable? He asked. I don't know yet, she replied, lifting the corner of her shirt. It's soft, but also not hiding anything. That's kind of the point, Eli said. Their first stop was the human memory room. Inside walls were covered in drawings, pictures, and handwritten notes from children on Earth. Some were messy, others full of bright colors. One drawing showed Earth and an alien shaking hands. Another showed a flying car powered by laughter. What is this place? Zelia asked. It's a message from home, Eli said. Before this mission, we asked children from Earth to draw what they hoped the future would look like. Zelia walked slowly past the drawings. One paper showed a big, messy rainbow with the words, "I hope everyone gets along and eats cake." She smiled. Another showed a broken robot with the words, "We can fix anything if we care enough." "Your children are dreamers," she said softly. "They're our best kind of dreamers," Eli replied. Zelia turned to him. "Why show me this?" "'Cause hope isn't in machines or metals," he said. "It starts in places like this." Later, they moved to the community repair lab. A few human workers were fixing devices, radios, small bots, broken fans. Eli handed Zelia a small toolbox. "You're going to help fix something." "I'm not trained," she said. "Neither were most of us. That's why we teach each other." He showed her how to open a panel on a small music device. Wires inside were burnt. Together, they replaced them, tested the circuit, and closed it up. When the music played again, a soft, old Earth song, Zelia's eyes widened. "I helped fix that," she whispered. "Yes, you did." Something inside her shifted. On Garnix, she was told, "Do not touch tools. Royals lead, others build." But here, building was part of learning. It felt real. They took a short break in the garden dome. Eli brought a tray with 2 cups of tea. In a small metal box, Zelia sipped carefully. "You keep serving this tea. What's so special about it?" "It's not the tea," Eli said. "It's the time." She frowned. "What do you mean? We drink it to pause, to talk, to reflect?" "It reminds us that not everything needs to move fast." He opened the metal box. Inside were photos, small, paper ones. "More Earth relics?" she asked. Eli smiled. "These are my family." He showed her pictures. A grandmother with wrinkled hands, 2 little sisters smiling on a beach, and a father fixing a bicycle. "They look normal," Zelia said. "They are, but every part of me comes from them." She stared at the photos. Ongarnik's family was private, not hidden, but also not shared this openly. "You trust easily," she said. "I think trust is how peace begins," Eli replied. Later, they visited the interspecies art hall. Human artists had made sculptures and paintings based on their journey through space. One sculpture showed a broken mottled Earth flag held together by alien hands. Another painting showed a Terran and a Garnix child looking at stars. Zelia stopped at a large painting. It showed a bridge made of books, music notes, and handshakes. "This," she whispered, "is beautiful. It's called understanding," Eli said. She turned to him. "Why do you make so much art?" "Because sometimes words fail," he said, "but feeling stays." As the day ended, they walked through a quiet corridor lit by gentle lights. Zelia no longer walked ahead. She walked beside him. "I thought humans would be loud, foolish, and desperate," she said. "But you're something else." Eli chuckled. "We can be loud and foolish, but we're also more." She looked at him serious now. "You've changed how I see things." "Didn't do anything special," Eli said. "I just shared what we are." She paused. "Would you wear Royal Garnix clothes tomorrow?" "Sure," he nodded. "If you teach me how." She smiled. "Deal. But one more thing, Earthman." "What's that?" She pointed to his shirt. "Make me one of those, but in Garnix colors. Same words." They grinned. "You got it?" Just like that, the princess who once mocked a Terran soldier asked to wear his words because sometimes the smallest things leave the deepest marks. The next day began with quiet excitement. On the Garnix side of the palace, attendants were rushing, confused. The princess was missing from her royal suite. Her crystal robes were untouched. Her crown lay on the table. "Where is she?" Aide whispered. "No security, no assistance. It's just vanished," another said. But she had not vanished. Princess Zelia was walking calmly through the human habitat section again. No guards, no servants. She wore sweatpants, soft shoes, and the Garnix-colored t-shirt Eli had promised. On the front were the words, in glowing letters, "Hope never stops." Many stared. A few whispered. But no one stopped her. She felt different today. Lighter. Freer. Her steps had no sound. But her mind was full of questions. Eli met her near the Earth display wall, where photos of humanity's journey through the stars were shown. Nice shirt. He smiled. I thought it might scare someone, she replied with a grin. Just inspires them, Eli said. Ready for today's adventure? I'm not mocking this time, she said seriously. I really want to learn. Good, Eli said. Today we're going to look at the soul of humanity. They walked into the Earth History Gallery, a room filled with displays of old artifacts, a piece of a rocket, a handwritten letter from an astronaut's child, a broken helmet that once saved a life. Zelia looked around slowly. This is not technology, she said. This is emotion. Eli nodded. We remember what matters to the heart. He showed her a small sculpture made from melted metal. It looked rough, but there was a tiny human figure inside it holding a light. What is this? She asked. It's from Earth's dark past. The artist made it after a disaster. They called it Light Survives. Zelia stared at it for a long time. You carry pain? She said quietly. We carry lessons, Eli replied. She nodded. That is wiser. Next, they entered the Earth Learning Hall. In one corner, a group of young Earth students sat in a circle, reading and drawing. Zelia paused. A young girl looked up and waved. Hi, princess, the girl said with a smile. Zelia froze. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. So simply, so happily. Hello, Zelia said back, a little unsure. The girl held up a drawing. It showed a Terran and Garnic standing on a hill, watching stars. I made this after hearing about you and Eli, the girl said. I think peace is better than power. Zelia took the drawing in her hands gently. Her eyes were soft. May I keep this? She asked. Of course. The girl beamed. For the first time, Zelia saw how much influence she had, not through orders or control, but through example. Later, they went to the Peace Garden. It was a quiet place, with a clear dome overhead and soft grass below. The center stood a tree grown from earth soil, surrounded by alien plants. Zelia sat on the grass barefoot. She looked up at the stars. This place feels like a dream, she whispered. It's our future. Deep, Eli said, sitting beside her. She picked up a leaf from the ground and studied its veins. You humans find meaning in small things. They remind us to stay grounded. After a long silence, she turned to him. When I mocked you, I thought you were weak. I didn't take it personally, Eli said. You were just protecting your pride. I thought strength came from perfection, she said. But now I see. It comes from acceptance. Eli smiled. You're learning fast. Zelia looked serious now. I don't want to just observe. I want to be a part of something better. You already are, Eli said. In the evening, they joined a gathering of mixed species, Earth humans, Garnics, and others. No one wore formal clothes. They shared stories, food, and music. Zelia listened to a young Earth artist sing an old song called One World. The lyrics spoke of unity, kindness, and dreams shared across galaxies. When the song ended, Zelia clapped not politely, but with true joy. I wish more Garnics could see this, she said. They will, Eli replied. Because of you, afterward. As they walked back to her side of the station, Zelia grew quiet. You know, she said, before this summit I believed titles mattered most. And now, I asked, now I believe truth matters more. They stopped at the edge of the Garnic's quarters. Royal guards were waiting. I must return to my world for tonight, Zelia said. I understand, Eli said. But tomorrow, I want to speak to the council. About what? She smiled. About tea, tools, and t-shirts. He laughed. Right. Luck with that. I'll need more than luck, she said, reaching into her pocket. She pulled out the child's drawing and held it tight. I'll need hope. Eli nodded. Then you already have everything. That night, Zelia stood in her chamber, holding the drawing. She placed it beside her royal medallion. Two symbols, one of power, one of peace. She looked at her reflection, again not a princess in armor, but a girl in sweatpants who had seen a new truth, and this time she liked what she saw. The next morning, the Grand Council chamber on Garnix Prime was more crowded than ever. News had spread. Princess Zelia had requested to speak. No one knew why. Some whispered she would apologize. Others thought she had a political message. But one thing was certain, everyone wanted to hear what the proud young princess would say after spending days with a human soldier. Eli stood quietly near the back, dressed in his usual neat uniform. His jacket was back on. But under it, he still wore the black shirt with glowing words. Respect is earned. He smiled when he saw Zelia walk in. She wore a simple robe in Garnix silver, but no crown, no crystal armor, and no glowing cape. Just confidence and a calm voice. Members of the council. She began, her voice clear. I have come not to lecture, but to share what I've learned. There were murmurs. The High Elder narrowed his eyes. For many years, Zelia continued. We believed strength came from rank, technology, and tradition. We believed we were superior. She looked around the great hall. But then I met a human. Louder murmurs now. Eyes turned toward Eli, who stood calmly, hands behind his back. A Terran soldier, she added. He did not impress me with weapons or words. He impressed me with something we often forget, humility. The Garnix council members looked at each other, clearly uneasy. Do you question your own status? One elder asked sharply. I question nothing, Zelia said. I expand it. Princess said another. Are you saying Earth is equal to Garnix? Zelia smiled. I am saying Earth has lessons to teach us. A long silence filled the hall. Finally, the High Elder spoke. Then prove it, he said coldly. Let your Terran speak. Let us test his mind. Let us see what value he brings. Svelia looked at Eli. Will you accept the challenge? Eli nodded. Always. That afternoon, a special gathering was arranged. A friendly intellect duel, watched by all. The rules were simple. A series of questions would be asked. Cultural puzzles, ethical dilemmas, logic games, and creative thinking. Both Zelia and Eli would answer. The first question came from a scientist. A planet is dying. You can only save one species. They're the oldest or the youngest. What do you do? Zelia gave a precise answer explaining biology, balance, and history. It was perfect. Eli thought for a moment, then said, I'd find a way to save the one that teaches the other how to survive. People blinked. It was not a usual answer, but it made them think. Next question. You discover a planet where time moves differently. Would you colonize it or protect it? Zelia spoke of resources, time science, and diplomacy. Eli simply said, We'd ask the planet what it wants first. Laughter broke out, but not mocking laughter. It's amused, thoughtful laughter. The next challenge was a riddle. I have no eyes, yet I teach. I have no tongue, yet I speak. What am I? Zelia paused, then said, History. Eli answered, A mistake. Both were correct, but from different views. The audience leaned forward, listening more closely now. As the duel continued, it became clear. This wasn't a battle. It was a bridge. Every answer from Zelia showed knowledge. Every answer from Eli showed understanding. They weren't fighting. They were teaching each other. Everyone watching learned something too. By the final round, the council had stopped whispering or listening. The last question came, What is the greatest invention in the galaxy? Zelia answered, Language. Without it, nothing connects. Eli smiled. I agree, he said. But more than that, forgiveness. Silence. Then a long, respectful pause. After the duel, the High Elder stood slowly. His voice was calm now. Never have I seen such answers, he said. Not only from the princess, ... but from a human. He looked at Eli. Your kind is new among us, but perhaps not so new in spirit. Then he turned to Zelia. You did not lose your honor today, child. You redefined it. The council gave a short nod of approval, not loud, but real. Later in the garden dome, Zelia and Eli sat beneath the stars. You surprised them, she said. So did you, Eli replied. You stood your ground. I thought they would reject me. They didn't. They were just waiting to be shown something different. Zelia leaned back on the grass. You know, she said, when I mocked you that first day, I thought I was strong. And now I think strength is quiet, like tea, like kindness, like choosing peace when pride is easier. Eli looked at her with respect. You've taken off your armor too, he said softly. She smiled and found something warmer underneath. Sat in silence, watching the stars. Two very different beings from two very different worlds, and yet somehow perfectly in sync. The stars above Garnix Prime shone brighter that night, so if they knew something had changed. The final day of the summit arrived. Delegates from every part of the galaxy filled the main hall one last time. Oh, everyone could feel it. This was not going to be a normal goodbye. The Earth delegation arrived first. Madame Jo walked proudly, and beside her was Eli, no longer in military dress. He wore a simple robe with symbols from his grandmother's village patterns that told a story of storms, survival, and family. He looked humble, but proud. A few aliens nodded in respect. Others looked confused. Still no one laughed. Everyone remembered the intellect duel? Everyone remembered his calm, clever answers. Then Princess Zelia entered. Gasps echoed across the hall. She wore no crown, no crystal cape. Instead, she wore her sweatpants again, over them, her earth-made shirt. The words glowed softly across her chest in both Terran and Garnic script. Hope never stops. She stood beside Eli, not in front of him, not above him, beside him. The High Elder stepped forward. Before we close this summit, he said, the Princess of Garnix has requested to speak. Zelia stepped up to the center. When I arrived here, she said, I believed I already knew everything. Humans were new, weak, and foolish. That their ideas were soft. That their people were simple. She paused. I was wrong, whispers. Ran through the crowd. Katabachi kept going. I mocked a Terran soldier. I questioned his clothing. I challenged his purpose. I believed titles made truth. She looked at Eli. He gave a small nod. But he did something powerful. He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't defend with weapons. He showed me who he was by sharing tea. By fixing things with tape. By listening. A few delegates smiled. He took off his uniform, she continued. But that wasn't the only thing he removed. He took off my pride. He took off my fear. He took off the armor I had worn in my heart for years. The hall grew completely silent. This human taught me that strength is not in sharp words or high status, but in kindness, honesty, and hope. She lifted the child's drawing from Earth, the one with a Terran and Garnix watching stars together, and held it up. This is the future, she said. Not mine, not his, ours. And then she stepped back. The council gave no grand applause. Instead, something greater happened. Every representative stood up one by one, silently, respectfully, united. It was the highest honor in Garnix tradition. Later, after the summit ended, Eli walked along the observation deck. Stars filled the sky like tiny memories. The ship that would take the Earth team home was preparing to leave. He heard footsteps. I thought you'd already left, said without turning. Not yet, Zelia said. Stepping beside him, you gave quite a speech, Eli smiled. You gave quite a lesson, she replied. They stood side by side, looking at the stars. So Eli said, what now for the Princess of Garnix? She thought for a moment. I want to build something, she said. Not palaces or machines. I want to build bridges. Real ones. Between minds. Between species. You'll do it, Eli said. You already started. She turned to him. Will you visit Garnix again? Only if I get better tea. He teased. She laughed softly, then grew quiet. I'm glad you took off your jacket that day, she said. I'm glad you wore a t-shirt, Eli replied. Then she stepped closer. Serious now. You came here as a soldier. You leave as a symbol. I never asked for that, which is exactly why you're perfect for it. They shared one final handshake, but this time it wasn't formal. It was warm, friendly, a beginning, not an ending. As Eli walked toward the shuttle, Zelia called out one last time. Hey, Taryn. He turned, eyebrows raised. What will you take off next? He smiled, hopefully. More assumptions. And then the door closed behind him, and the stars welcomed him home. Later, across galaxies, stories were told about a proud alien princess who mocked a simple soldier. And the soldier who answered not with anger, but with tools and truth, about how respect was not given, but earned. About how real power comes from the courage to listen, not to command. And above all, about two people from different worlds who help the universe remember what truly matters: hope, understanding, and the quiet strength of kindness.